correct. More Amiibo is being announced.
The most
So
important.
I'd say I'm probably like 50-50 whether, because I do have a lot of games on the Switch. Like, it's getting embarrassing where on my shelf I now need to go to the next level on my shelf, my IKEA shelf. Like, that's how many games I have. It's really crazy. And I still have a lot of games that I need to get through. So I'm probably like a 50-50 whether I'll get Monster Hunter Rise early on when it comes out. You know, maybe eventually it's probably a much higher chance. But with the Monster Hunter Amiibo, so there's 3 Amiibos that were confirmed to come out with Monster Hunter Rise. So we have the dog friend and, you know, a few other folk, and then also the monster that is the key monster, the cover art monster, is going to have an Amiibo. I'm 100% chance of getting the Amiibo. So there's a very high possibility I'll have the Amiibo and I won't have the game.
It's actually funny.
Which is not that.
I'm sorry to cut you off. I'll say
no, go.
One of the Amiibos is a Palico, and just reminded me that in Monster Hunter World, I named the Palico after one of our friends, and then I sent him a screenshot, and I'm like, I don't know if he appreciated it or kind of just like was like, huh, okay. I'm like, oh, I thought that was pretty funny.
You're a secret furry or something. So yeah. I was super amped about this. Like, when I saw this announcement, I was like, sweet. And it also makes me go, wow. Like, right now, there are 7 Amiibo that have been announced and that are coming out and that aren't out yet. So it does make me laugh when at the start of the year, a lot of pundits sort of had the prediction that Amiibo were going to die this year. And then, you know, we're at a point like late in the year where you've got 7 more Amiibo coming that haven't even come out yet. So yeah, I'm picking up a couple next week, which are Joker and Hero for Smash. So they're coming out next week. Hint, hint, if you're, you know, given that you're a big Hero player. So yeah, no, these are pumped, and I'm very pumped about this. And then, like, the thing that I'm really praying for, and I know this is not going to happen, but with the Monster Hunter Stories game that came out on 3DS, in Japan only, they created 6 Amiibo for that game.
6?
And these are like, 6. And these are like some of the most sought after Amiibo because they were very, it just like, you know, it's a bit different if, like, you know, if you're in Australia or in America, go to GameSpot, they're there. Oh, this looks like a cute little figure. Sweet. I'll pick this up, right? No sweat. But because it's like Japan only, you have to order it in. It's really tricky. It's just like a pain, right? They didn't make many of them. They sort of, you know, like, you have to order it from overseas through special, you know, vendors and everything like that. These are so hard to get. So an Amiibo in Australia is like about, at the time it was like $18, you know, $12 in the States. I just sent you a link through what people are selling Naviro, which is one of the most sought after Amiibo. It's insane. So I don't know if you've clicked the link, but
it's loading now.
Or maybe I'll let you say what
Palico.
the price is.
Okay. Huh. Oh, actually.
And do you see the price?
Sheesh. $3.99. Man, all right. Can I ask you a question?
$400 for something that goes for like $20 in the store.
So can I ask you a question? Like, I'm certainly, you know, like we've talked about, like, I understand doing things just because you like doing it and it doesn't really have much of an impact or, you know, like value outside of, I like doing this thing. Like, I like collecting.
Yeah, you definitely can't judge. You definitely can't judge.
But what is like 75-year-old integot thinking when he walks into his Amiibo room and there's like 600 Amiibos in there at that point? What are you doing at that age? Like, what are you going to do with them?
Look, there's a couple of things. Like, we both grew up in a similar situation. We're not like upper class or anything like that. Let's just say, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not like we were, you know, poverty or anything like that, but we certainly weren't on the other side of that either. So I like, that's one element. There's one element that, you know, I'm pretty frugal in general.
I know,
and I don't have any crazy.
$50 for the digital PlayStation 5, whatever. No, Xbox Series S. Yeah.
I know, it's like, I'm very frugal, right? And I don't like wasting money in general. And I don't have any crazy habits. I don't drink at all. I haven't drank for like a couple of years, so I don't spend any money on that. I don't smoke at all. I don't gamble that much at all. Like, I have a very strict limit. Like, so there's nothing I'm really like going crazy splurging on. Number one, number two, this is taking way back, but in the '90s, probably when both of us, like in the late '90s, early 2000s, we didn't have that much money, and I have to say, there's so many games that I played illegally, like through emulation, and mostly Nintendo games. And I played through all these games. I never owned them. And I kind of felt guilty about that. I've always felt like a bit guilty about that. And in a weird way, I've got this weird sense, like where it's like, I feel like squaring up, right? So initially, I bought a bunch of Amiibo. Not a lot, but like, 10 or something like that. And I was like, you know what? I feel like I'm squaring up with Nintendo.
Just 10 of these things.
No, when I say 10, it was 10 over the course of like 4 months or something like that.
Okay, I thought you were
because there's a lot of Nintendo, and I'm probably, not even probably, I'm like predominantly a Nintendo fan. So like I had like a Zelda one, Mario, and it's just kind of building it out a little bit, like all the, Metroid, sweet, like I'm a huge Metroid fan. So, you start to build up, and you can easily name 10 Nintendo franchise characters that, if you love these franchises, you're like, yeah, sure, I'm happy to buy this. And honestly, my head was just a bit like, I feel like I'm squaring up a bit because I've ripped off Nintendo historically. Now they're ripping me off a bit. We're about getting even, right? And then I think for one of my birthdays, my wife, because they had like some sale at Big W where they were clearing out the Amiibo, she bought, like, no joke, like 25 Amiibo. And I think she bought them for like $5 each or something like that, or $6 each.
Is she regretting that decision now?
When she bought it, I was so pissed off because once she bought it, my head, because I am a perfectionist and a completionist, like deep down, and I'd really work hard to like get away from that. So like, I was like, I don't want to collect these things. I don't collect anything really. Like there's nothing I have a collection of because I know what I'm like. I'll just start going nuts. It's like the X-Men trading cards, back in the 90s, the Fleur ones or whatever they're called. Like I could get really crazy about that stuff. So I have to really force myself not to. So when she did that, I started going, oh my God, now I've got to work out which ones we don't have. And then I started going, okay, I'm going to get like one of the characters, but I'm not going to get two of the same character. Like that's crazy. And then, yeah, that went down. And then I got to a point where I was like, oh my God, like I have not even the majority of these Amiibos. I have like, 70, 80% of the Amiibos that are available. So I'm like, oh God, now I have to just start collecting every single one. So I don't know. It's hard to explain. It's honestly like that squaring up was a huge part of it for me, that I felt like I've ripped them off so much historically. Like I had like a DS and I never bought a game for the DS because I hacked it. Like, and I'm not saying that's the right thing to do. I just didn't have the money. And I was, I didn't have the money. I didn't need to do it, but that's what I did. So then I felt like, I'm kind of like getting back. You know what I mean? Because they make good money on these things. It's not like they're a bit of plastic. That's like $20. Like they're making good money on these things. So yeah, that was part of it. And now it's just a compulsion. Like I'm more than happy to say it's a compulsion. It's like if I see it, if there's something I don't have, I'll just buy it like instantly. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with it. I try not to think about it too much, to be honest.
So, integot, kindly tell me where the Amiibo touched you. This is like your therapy
in
session.
In my heart.
Like your therapy
in my heart. Well, I'll cover this as a whole segment of what I'm doing, but I'm actually planning to open them all up because most of mine are in boxes still. But because I have so many,
don't do it. Because then you can.
No, because like
you're sick of them.
But I don't think I ever will, to be honest. Because I'm not like that. I don't throw out things like that I have attachment to. So I've still got heaps of stuff from when I was a kid that I see. And like there's even He-Man toys that now my son plays with that I used to play with when I was a little kid, which is pretty cool. But yeah, stuff like that I won't throw out.
I reckon you make a mistake if you're opening them with that many of them. But
why? But why? Like what? Like
you do you? Because the point is collecting.
No, but what?
If you're collecting them, it makes sense to kind of keep them in the best possible state that collectors keep things. That's all.
No, but so when I say collecting it, it's like I want them all, but it's not like I want to keep them in like shrink paper wrap and like, you know, like those crazy people who like have the toys and they're like, oh, don't play with the toys. Like Gord, you know, my son plays with the Amiibo. And I don't know, for me it's cool, man, because he actually walks around and he knows the characters now. He's only 3 and he goes, Mario or Luigi or like Donkey Kong. He actually recognizes it, like when we're walking around the store. So, you know, like, I'm fine with that. To me, the boxes compared to the size of the figures, it's just crazy differential that it's just taking up so much room having all of these boxed Amiibos. And for whatever reason, for me, I'm way more comfortable opening them all up and, you know, just having them on display. And that's what I want to cover, just like my thoughts around how I'm going to display it and what, like, how that's shaping up. So, yeah, I don't know. It's really crazy. Like, I don't deny it's crazy. Like, when I only had like a dozen, I was more than happy not to get any more. But then there was some tipping point. I think it was, when my wife, not in a bad way, but when she bought a stack of them, I was like, oh man, I'm all in now. Like, I can't get out of this craziness. Like, I'll have like variations. Like, I have, you know, Rob.
Yes.
Like from Smash.
Yeah.
There's 2 versions of the Rob Amiibo. So I have to have both of them, of course. There's a Famicom version and there's like the regular version. It's like insane. It's insane stuff, dude. Anyway, I'm sure we'll cover Amiibo again. And moving